Welcome to our joint event. Today's topic is 7 must-dos to survive the 2 weeks wait. And this event is shared with our fertility coach, Monica Bivas, who has left his weight 5 times after undergoing each fertility treatment. And my name is Arina Rogozina. I'm a business development manager of Fertty International Fertility Clinic based in Barcelona, Spain. Well, in assisted reproduction, the 2 weeks wait is the time from the treatment ends. Let's say after can be artificial insemination or embryo transfer until the pregnancy test can be done. And it lasts for approximately 2 weeks, 15 days, and during which time all patients are very attentive to any symptoms that may indicate if the treatment has been successful. So this time can seem like an eternity. And we may be aware of everything going on our body and ask ourselves tons of questions. So during this webinar, we'll try to come up with answers to the most pressing 2 weeks waiting questions. So Monica, if you want to start, we know that fertility treatment itself is stressful, and it's these 2 weeks wait is a cave during the cycle. So what are the main worries? What are the main fears that arise before the 2 weeks wait time comes?
So, well, thank you again for having me with you guys, Arina. It's always a pleasure. It's an honor for me. Well, yes, as you mentioned now in the beginning, this 2 week wait, I will say, is the most crucial time of the whole fertility treatment. Doesn't mean that IVF itself is not stressful. The whole thing it is. But this 2 week wait is very crucial because it's a relatively short time, because it's 2 weeks. You know, when you are in a normal day-by-day life, the time seems to go so fast that, you know, that your day even doesn't, you know, like my day is not enough to all the things I have to do. On the other hand, when we are in this 2 week wait, it seems like an eternity, like you said, like each day has not 24 hours, but like 50 hours. And anxiety and, you know, these feelings of I want to know and what if. It's an emotional mix of feelings that can affect eventually the results. So before
kind of a roller coaster now of emotions and hope and fears and everything.
Yes, it's a mix of hope, which is the positive part of it, and then the fears, which is the what if it doesn't work? What if I don't get a positive result, you know? So I will say that, you know, when you get to the 2 week wait, means when you have actually a certain amount of embryos between 1 to 4 here in the States, you know, it could be more, but you have the option to freeze them for later on, do a frozen transfer. But as soon as you know that the process got you to a point where you have embryos to transfer, that right away is a bigger hope and positivity, because you know how it happens. The 2 week wait is not granted. You know, all the process can be, they can take 30 eggs, you know, it's a process. You fertilize, then you wait between 3 to 5 days to see which embryos are developing to be either, you know, into a 3-day transfer or a blastocyst. And some of them, they just stop to develop. So once we have that there is, I will say always to people, that right there, when you have a date for your transfer, say, okay, yes, that's a big step, I'm closest. So start to, you know, to work on that mindset. Once the transfer is done, and this is an advice that I give to any couple, any women. They're transferring in our uterus, actually, an embryo. So one of the first things I suggest, which is one of my 7 tips, is you need to start to think that you are pregnant, because there is an embryo inside your uterus. It's already, you know, like there. Because in natural pregnancy, trying to conceive naturally, you get pregnant. And a lot of pregnancies that are developing naturally also end up in miscarriage. So you need to think you are. And start to somehow work in a way to handle the time. Like you mentioned in the beginning, again, we go, it's so eternal. So we need to try to find ways to make these days the less stressful possible, to help our body to, to receive that. Because definitely emotional state of mind can affect our physical state of mind. And this part is the physical, this part is the physical. So if we are stressed, if we are not, and I tell you, I've been there, if we are like all the time, yes, we want to know what is this. Our body release, the stress hormone, and that can also affect the development of the embryo. I forgot the name of the hormone. Do you remember that hormone?
Are you talking about beta?
No. When we are stressed, we release, I forgot, but I know people understand what I'm talking about. So the idea is to find tools that can help us to walk through these days.
So what are the tools?
Exactly. So for example, one of the first things is you do the transfer, of course, number one, like I told you, think that you are pregnant, because we are. What we don't know is how the pregnancy is going to end up. It's like when you go to a doctor after trying to conceive naturally and you find out, oh, the test, I'm pregnant, or in your house, I'm pregnant. And then, you find out you are 5-6 weeks, and then suddenly your period comes. So it is what it is. Number two, if you are, or you went through in vitro fertilization, I always suggest that from the beginning, keep a journal. Could be a journal, a notebook that you have with all your results up to the time of the transfer. For your 2-week wait, have some coloring pages, have some books to read, self-help, try to distract your mind into positive things. Doesn't mean that you are not going to feel anxiety or negative thoughts, because when you're feeling them, allow them to be filled. If you want to talk, you have a partner, you have a coach, like, in Fertty, we have all this team, you can reach out to that, write, and then empty that, and you'll continue with that. Besides having a journal, like all of that, you need to also, don't think that you are sick, because I've been there, you have the transfer and you think that you are like a crystal ball that is going to break. So I'm not going to tell you, go and lift up 7 pounds of, or do chores like crazy. No, but also don't go to the extreme to think that you are a crystal ball, because that also brings us stress. It's like, oh, I cannot move, or I cannot do this. Like, try to continue as normal as you can, being aware that, of course, it's a different kind of process as the natural way. So you need to take care of yourself. One thing that I always said is pamper yourself. If you are a single woman that decide to go to be a mom, single, so try to go do your nails, take a feet massage, of course not there, something that can relax you and release, serotonin. The serotonin, is the happy thing in our brain.
Exactly.
If you are with a partner, so if you went together as a partners to do in vitro, so also that spoil each other. How? Go to a date, go to a movie, take a walk, breathe air. Walking and breathing air are very good for us. And believe it or not, sleep well too. Because if we don't sleep well, we don't have energy. So at least between 6 to 8 hours of sleep, it's very recommendable. This is something that biologic affect our physics. So we need to do that.
But I understand that, in this situation, when the anxiety is there, sleeping well, it's quite difficult. So this is one of the, symptoms. So during this 2 weeks is insomnia.
Yes, insomnia. So how you can help that? For example, a lot of clinics have also staff, that are fertility acupuncture. So of course, before the transfer and before this process starts, you can do acupuncture in most of your body. But once the transfer is done, so you can do acupuncture to relax, So they put the needles here around your head in the points that they are, and I did it. And for me, work miracles. For me, was amazing because if you don't sleep, like you mentioned, because of insomnia, so then in a session of acupuncture, you can be like 1 hour or 2 hours, just, relax. And your mind is kind of really, it's like empty. Like you need to blank your mind. Don't think about what you are going through. Don't think about nothing. It's like so relaxing. And I have heard a lot of good reviews about acupuncture because can help you balance that part of the insomnia that you don't.
Yeah, and Fertty, we do work with professionals of acupuncture, especially for fertility, and we work with them all over the world. And obviously, we offer this. You mentioned before, this before the transfer and after the transfer, or before the punction, after the punction. But every professional of acupuncture will say you that it's really important to start before, maybe 3 months before, and continue this follow-up because it will help you with a lot of stuff, just not only about the anxiety, but it works. And this is why we offer also the services to our patients. Yeah,
and you mentioned it is, yes, it's so important. And I think, like you mentioned, it's so important because if we know that we're going to go the IVF way, yes, try to start it 3 months before, then the whole process, then before transfer. I did it like that. I did it exactly 2 months before we knew that we're going to start the whole process. I had once a week, and then after transfer, that the day after the transfer, my fertility acupuncturist have it already. And I tell you, Arina, it worked. I don't know if it's also that mindset, because it's that's life. What you throw in the universe, it comes to you. If you wake up in the morning thinking that you're going to have a bad day, trust me, it's going to be something that is going to come to bad day. So it's also us as doing it as a mindset. Color and art therapy, that in all the webinars that we have been talking about, this is a very, very strong tip that I always give. Work for me too. So today with a bunch of fertility coaches that are in the world, and each of them has an approach, they are developing their own fertility coloring books. I am actually doing that. I'm in the process of creating a series of 4 fertility books coloring because it's so, I'm working behind the scenes like crazy because it helped me. And then read self-help books. Also, a lot of fertility coaches have books that they're stories based on their experience. So mine is the IVF planner, which is more technical. That's why I'm creating that coloring thing. But I have friends that have gone through infertility and even still they don't have children and have written incredible books. There is one actually that calls the tea therapy for the 2-week wait. It's a friend of mine that she's in South Africa, and it's exactly meditations for your 2-week wait. So meditation is also very helpful. And by taking all of these tips and tools, if you practice a little bit every day, I'm not saying become a master, because I know that we are humans, and sometimes we have more anxiety and emotions than the positive, and it's very difficult during this time to handle it. Yeah. So, but steady, you learn every day. You practice 10 minutes. I do every day, Arina, every day until today, 5-minute meditation, because somehow helps me to start my day and to see that even if it is not enough to do what I have to do, learn in the end to practice gratitude and say, okay, thank you, I did this. Doesn't matter that I didn't finish, but I was able to do that. The same when you are in your 2-week wait. And be aware that every woman is different. Every body is different. For example, all my cycles, I spotted. So that's a traumatic thing. But a lot of women that go through IVF, we spot. So please, I know that it's crazy. I went crazy. You go with all this tension. And then my husband was the one that you need to stop. You know, if you transfer one embryo, or two embryos, or three embryos, it doesn't matter. When you spot, I know it's very scary. I know you think right away your period is coming, but remember that some places and some research show that when the embryo is getting attached to the uterus, it could occur some kind of bleeding. I'm not a doctor, so I don't, you know, I cannot say it's that, but I have read, so always think it's that right?
I think, yeah, well, this is one of the most, the concerns of all patients, no? What is happening to my body during this 2 weeks wait, no? In terms of, well, from the clinic point of view, I can say that symptoms during these 15 days or 2 weeks occur whether the pregnancy test is positive or negative. So after assisted reproduction treatment, symptoms can be related to the side effects of ovarian stimulation also, as well as a progesterone that is still taken during this time in some cases, no? Yes. Moreover, it's also normal not to have any symptoms in this period. So this is something to take into consideration. And as you were saying, some of the symptoms may be as follows: low back pain. Low back pain, similar to a condition most women we experience during menstruation, no?
Yes.
Ovarian pain, spotting, light bleeding, I don't know, urge to urinate, clear vaginal discharge, abdominal bloating, headaches, so insomnia or the
sore breast,
sleepy, you know, exactly, sensitive breast, bad moods. So this is, well, you may be slightly alarmed to experience some of the symptoms. They are not normal. You need to know they are normal and do not signify that you are or not pregnant.
Yes, completely agree. So yes, don't, it's very confusing time too because of what you just said. So the idea is to try our best to be a little calm down. I'm not going to tell you be totally relaxed because I've been there. But because I've been there also, I know that we can somehow learn to handle that symptoms. There is no perfection. There is not you know, there is no black or white. The idea is to be in the middle, to keep the balance. And I know that during these times, keeping the balance is the most difficult part, but that's why there is people that goes to coaching, goes to emotional support. Clinics like Fertty offer all of that in a package. They have the acupuncturist, they have the fertility coaching, they have nutrition help. So all of that, try your best to be in a clinic that is going to have for you all that support. So basically, I mentioned all my tools there, you know, didn't have an order, but they are like, this is what we can do.
Well, super, Monica, really, really interesting and helpful, I find it. And we do have other concern, maybe they're much more clinical, but even though I wanna know your opinion about that, or maybe your experience during this process, not what you did.
Yes.
So the main another questions that patient asked us is, should I take home pregnancy test or should I wait for a better blood test? So for us, from the clinic point of view, the hormone test, we do recommend to wait. So the hormone tested and the pregnancy test is a hormone beta HCG. It's called like that, and it's recommended to wait at least 15 days to carry out the pregnancy test, since before these hormone levels may not be enough to be detected. So in this way, the result that you may obtain in the pregnancy test made at home is more reliable. That is why we recommend that patients avoid performing this test. They can give also false results, either false negative or false positive. So yes. What did you do during this time? Did you do the home test or you were waiting for the beta?
That's another thing I also recommend to my clients, to people that come back. Definitely, I agree with you, with the clinic. I didn't do it, and trust me, it doesn't mean that I didn't want to. I was dying. And you know, I have a husband that he's very impatient. I am impatient, but when it comes to something that I know that could bring me a disappointment that can affect my end result that could be positive, I don't do it. So I understand that most of us, we want to know, but like you said, the beta test is the most accurate of that. And I have seen cases of women doing tests, and like you say, they get false positives. They go to the beta comes negative, and it's devastating for them. Or false negatives, and they drive themselves crazy, and it's 2 or 3 days before the beta, and they are depressed, and they are crying, and they don't know what to do, and then go to the beta, and what happened? They get a beta positive, but because of all the stress they put down, then 7 days later, they miscarriage. So just wait. You know, bite your nails. You have to bite. If they biting your nails, that is helping you with it. So you know what? If that's your last choice, of bite your nails, and you know, then wait for that. Occupy, try. I never say do, because it's very difficult to do. You know, you can wake up in the morning and plan something, and then your day change completely. Try your best to occupy your mind. And in the moments that thing that, oh my God, I am 5 post-day transfer, let me check. Don't do it. Yeah. Try to, I don't know, go for a walk, take a break. Maybe call your acupuncturist and tell him, do you have maybe a little space like in the next 2 hours? I know it's by appointment. Do something that can take your mind, your thought away from that. Definitely agree with you.
Yes. And another question patient asks us is, well, about the medication, special medication they may take during the 2 weeks wait. And from our point of view, obviously, the specific medication to take if you are pregnant or could be pregnant is so-called prenatal multivitamins. And another important thing is folic acid. Then depending on each specific case, we may recommend something else, you know? But depending also on the treatment we have done with the patient will take progesterone or some other medication, no? And it's really important not to forget to take it. So Monica, have you used any reminder method of taking medication on time that was helpful to you and you could share with us?
Yes, so as you mentioned, the folic acid, you know, that was very important. So for me, the old way of having a little paper like stick on my kitchen cabinet. So I will have a note that says, okay, you know, folic acid taking every morning or after breakfast, something like that. But I know that when I wake up, the first thing I do is go to the kitchen to prepare breakfast for my husband and for me, so it's there. Why? Because if I don't take notes of things, I forget. And also, you know, I used to take progesterone, like you said, each case is different. For me, was the oil injections, that they are so painful that I have to be realistic with that. Painful. There was places in my butt that there was no space anymore for any more stones. But still, it's a must. So it was my husband, the one that had to take it, you know, to put it for me. And it was always in the night, like before going to sleep. But as you mentioned, each person is different. For some people, they don't recommend folic acid, but they treat it with something else during the time because it's like you assuming you are pregnant. So that was basically my main thing. Always taking pictures, taking notes and post it there. I have.
Okay, yes. For you as well. Sometimes recommends this, or nowadays it's really easy with a mobile phone to just settle an alarm clock, and
sometimes it doesn't work. Trust me, I don't like the phone still. I like it for some stuff, but the best thing for, you know, old-fashioned. I like my old-fashioned. The notes always work for me.
I'm with you. I prefer notes. And okay, another question. Can I have sex during this period? So.
Well, you know, it's a question that me and my husband, and I think every couple, you know, will ask our RE when we did our cycles. Every of our REs told us that there is nothing that said you can't, because like in a conception that occurs naturally, the woman can be pregnant, but she don't know. So they still have sex, and she find out that. However, because of the fact that this is something that you know, the doctor knows there is a transfer, and you are so stressed with the whole process. So they told us that it's up to us, but because of the same stress, they didn't recommend it. You know, especially like I told you in the beginning, because they used to tell us a lot of women have spotting during this 2 week wait. So you don't want to kind of do that. So we didn't do it. But I think again it's up to the couple, and it's also based on the suggestion that their clinic give them. I don't know how Ferty, you know, handle that. I
Well,
guess
yeah, it's obviously depends on each case, no? But in,
yes.
let's say, a normal situation, we do not recommend having sex 3 or 4 days after the embryo transfer or insemination.
Mm-hmm.
And after this time, if the patient is feeling well, there is no pain, no bleeding, she can have sex. But I understand sometimes maybe some physicians, some clinic recommend just saying it's up to you, because, well, sometimes they say don't do it during 2 weeks, maybe because in case of you have, you receive a negative results, you don't feel like you will not blame yourself of doing
Exactly.
something wrong. But I mean, from the medical point of view, if the patient is okay, feeling well, there is, it can be done.
It can be done. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Our art is that, you know, I was the one that, you know, because I was so framed into it, and you know, like
Yeah.
I it's it also up to, you know, to your mind, how your mind is feeling. And as you said, 4 or 5 days, if the woman and the man feel good, you know, of course don't go crazy like like you usually would do if you are not. But yes, I kept my husband on 2 weeks nothing.
Well,
I was so, you know, like, but again, today when I am in this place and I can see other, you know, other couples, I think that I took things too much exaggerated. But Arina, you know, I didn't know that there was support. I didn't know that there was something
yeah,
that could help. So, you know, you are like so focused on, I want
of
this to
course.
work. And after going, especially when you go like me to multiple cycles, it's even worse. You are like, you know,
Of course, you just stop living, you just stay
and
at
like
your
you
bed,
said,
and yeah,
there is guilt feelings, there is guilt.
yeah.
So, you know, my fourth cycle was a miscarriage, so I was thinking maybe I did something wrong. My third cycle was the stillbirth, so what I did. So when it's multiple cycles, it's even a little bit worse. But as I said, as long as we try our best to make it easier, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, of course. Well, the same situation is happening with the sports, no? It's another question that the patient asks if they can do sports. More or less the same, no? We do not recommend impact sports, like impact sports such as heavy intensity training, jumping, running, lifting weights are not recommended. But it's advisable to do light exercises like walking,
Walking.
yoga, swimming. Well, swimming, depending on the situation, we recommend it 3 or 4 days after the transfer, but you need to ask your physician. And also, and somehow this exercise will help you to clear your mind, right, Monica, and reduce the stress of waiting.
Totally.
As
Totally.
you were saying. So what you were doing during this period? What kind of sport?
Definitely a walk. Walking was very relaxing because, you know, I live in the suburbs outside the city, so it's very beautiful. I have trees, I have pure air, so I will walk with my husband. A walk that, you know, could relax, like you feel the air. Yoga, I did yoga. You know, a very soft yoga, and then after I found out I was pregnant, I practiced my whole pregnancy prenatal yoga, which is also so helpful. It's helpful for you, it's helpful for the baby as it develops. So yes, is the only two I did, not a big impact. You know, I have known ladies that maybe they went through in vitro, but they were always active with heavy sports. They don't do like high impact sports during the first trimesters after IVF. But I tell you something, I have been seeing ladies with big bellies doing really like hardcore sports. It's up to the person, but
it's up to the person, but the
Yes.
recommendation is a recommendation.
Exactly, and I try my best because, you know, one thing is the emotional part, the other thing is the physical part. The idea is to have balance between the both of them. But doctors exist also for a reason. You know, if a doctor recommend you, listen, don't do high impact. I will never do it in my whole pregnancy. I will just walking, maybe my yoga, and, you know, if I feel like swimming, if I am a little bit advanced in the pregnancy, but not so heavy. So in my opinion, and what I will recommend is, yes, low impact and sports and exercise that can help you with stress management, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and another concern is about the specific diet that we can recommend. As we were saying, you know, we do work with nutritionists who works with fertility patient. Actually, our medical director, she has her PhD with in lifestyle and nutrition and fertility. So we do recommend for each patient something in particular, but in general, it's recommended to have a healthy diet always, no, and balanced diet with fresh fruits and vegetables, proteins, carbons. In this case, for example, it's not recommended eating raw or undercooked meat, no,
Yes.
or maybe high mercury fish or soft cheeses if the patient not having passed toxoplasmosis, it can have serious effects on the fetus, you know that, no? And
Yes.
As for drinks, it's not recommended to drink alcohol, obviously, or soft drinks. And it's really essential to maintain proper hydration. That's it for us. Eh? Yes. I don't know if you did a special diet or you just was like too much things. So
I follow exactly what you just said. You know, it's so basic recommendations. In the time that I was pregnant with my last girl, IVF, I was not vegan, but I was never ever a big eater of animal product. Never liked the milk. I don't know. I never liked milk by itself. But, you know, I love fruits always. I come from a country that we have the richest, you know, fruits in the world. We have, so my refrigerator was always full of fruits, vegetables, definitely no raw milk, no alcohol, like you say. You know, it's such a basic things that, you know, our doctors can recommend us, and they are not difficult to follow. So definitely something that most people should do if they are in an IVF treatment or if they get pregnant through IVF.
Yeah. Well, and another question is about traveling, you know, during this period of time, during this 2-week wait. And for us, traveling, and especially, let's say, talking about flights, no, because we're a clinic, we attend international patients who coming here basically flying. For us, well, what we think it's not going to decrease the chances of pregnancy at the beginning, no? But obviously, it's not recommended, taken into consideration the situation right now. No, it's not recommended to travel to areas with a high rate of infection by the COVID-19 and Zika.
And Zika. Oh, yes, Zika, which is in South America.
Sometimes we forget about that, but Zika is there. And I think the last questions, frequent asked questions we have is how long after a failed cycle can I do another cycle, no? So it happens, no? And in this case, what we recommend, if the pregnancy test was negative, unfortunately, a new cycle normally could be started immediately. However, sometimes it will be necessary to take some time off between cycles, but it's normally is determined by the professional, no? Depending on each case and the medication and the situation. So from my point of view, we have all questions answered, right, Monica?
Yes, we did, absolutely. We went through everything, and I think we did even extra of advice, which is always important, you know, with IVF, with, you know, medical assisted reproductive systems, you know, it's like there is always more, because every day medicine advances so much that there is always more that you can learn, that you can advise. And I think that as we go through all of these, the possibility of getting pregnant through IVF or IUI is, you know, every year is getting to a little point of more and more, as long as, you know, we follow all the tips or the medical advice. So I think, yes, we went through that.
Cool, Monica. Well, if everyone, well, this, as always, I say this record, we will have it in Facebook and our channels, all our channels. You can check it also in Instagram and YouTube. And you can ask for a consultation with Monica Bivas. So contact us. You have all our contact details in our website or our social media channels. And you also can ask for the consultation with one of our physicians. So it's totally free.
Exactly.
And check your case and see the possibilities. And well, if you have any questions that we didn't answer, please share it with us and we will be happy to reply you.
Absolutely.
Monica, thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for your really good advices.
Oh, no, thank you so much, Arina. I love to have these webinars with you. We always, you know, learn from each other and help our community, which is the biggest thing we can do. Thank you so much for having me again.
Have a lovely day.
You
Bye,
too. Bye.
everyone.